What was it like being on 6 Feet Under?
Oh, well, all right, I'll tell you a good story about that. Many years ago, when I'm constantly searching like a dog with my nose to the ground for new erotic stories, and Andre Cadescrew does a little zine in Louisiana out of Baton Rouge called Exquisite Corpse. Okay? It's amazing. And I found this story that attracted my attention with its title. It was called Courtney Cox's Asshole. I said, isn't that the name of somebody in Hollywood? I'm like one of those Friends people, you know? Good God, does she know the story's been published? You know? And I began to read it, and I realized it was a brilliant satire, written from the point of view, a fictional point of view, of someone who was an assistant to Courtney Cox and other Hollywood stars. And so being their asshole was essentially being in this miserable position of being an assistant to, you know, any number of divas and narcissistic lunatics such as populate the Illusion Factory. And again, I must say, not true, you know, all names, you know, satirized and made up. Well, I contacted Andre and I said, who is this Jill Soloway? I love this story. It just had me rolling in the aisles because it was not only about the situation of penury in Hollywood, it was also about, she lost her mojo, you know, like sort of regularly humiliating herself to the altar of the TV gods. She just couldn't get off anymore. And he said, oh, she's out in LA. I published her story. I got really interested in her work. I acquired a novella from her around the time that I was working with you, Sora, on your novella. And she finally told me, I write for this TV show called 6 Feet Under. I'm a huge fan of yours. My sister's a huge fan of yours. We love you. And I visited her in LA, and she invited me to come visit the set, which was fun. I said, can I do a dying scene? I threw myself down the stairs at the funeral set, you know, like, and you can find that picture on my website too. That was a lot of fun. And you know, we got friendlier and friendlier. And she said, you know, the first season I worked here, I wrote a script where there's a character named Brenda who's sort of on a sexual exploration at one point, and she's got a new friend, and who's a prostitute, and she comes home to Nate, right? Yes. I can't believe I'm remembering all their names. She comes home and starts, you know, bragging about I have new friends, and I have this new friend, and she's a cross between Susie Bright and David Sedaris. And as Jill is telling me this, you know, I kind of gasped. I'm like, you wrote that? Wow, you know, what, you know, like, you know, I'm bowled over with the flattery. And she said, yeah, well, I mean, it was never produced because one of the suits here at HBO, a lesbian in fact, came up to me and said, Susie Bright's name will never be said on this show. And, you know, my mouth dropped, and she said, I was hoping you could explain, because I don't even know where that's coming from. And I said, I don't know, but, I mean, I'm having kind of this familiar sinking feeling. I don't know who this person is, but because of my days and on our backs and the sheer hell we went through around the feminist, you know, so-called sex wars and the prejudice we faced, there were a whole lot of people who, you know, thought I was the devil incarnate, and people who were like, Susie Bright's trying to get me to use a dildo, and I'm not going to, you know. And I was like, you know, so like, I couldn't fucking care less, you know. I mean, I have like the personification of live and let live, and to thine own self be true. But, you know, clearly, I feel a little misunderstood in this regard. And here was someone who was sort of carrying on the you know, the McKinnon Dworkin parade at HBO. You know, this is what you find. I'm hearing about it to my face. So I said, well, Jill, you know, just the gesture. I mean, thanks for telling me. Years go on. Jill becomes, you know, a tremendous writer on the show. And Alan Ball, the creator, had finally decided he wanted to bring the story to a close, move on to other projects, including producing that the Towelhead movie that I just mentioned earlier. And I got a call from Jill. She said, guess what I'm doing? I'm writing my last episode, my very last episode. and I was wondering if you'd do me a favor and will you be in it? I'm doing everything I ever wanted to do. I'm, you know, going to have Lauren Cameron sing. Isn't that the red-haired, the daughter,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's like everything I wanted to do. And it's going to, you know, more hippies. There's going to be pot smoking. It's all of it. And what she didn't reveal to me, but what I clearly understood when I got a copy of the script, it's not just that I was there, because I didn't do much. I mean, they didn't know whether I could act or not, so, you know, I have very little to say or do on the set. But every character in that episode turns to each other and says, "You know Susie Bright." You know, Susie Bright, the feminist sex writer. That is revenge in Hollywood.